Good evening, folks. It's Diamond with the Oppenheimer Ranch Project, bringing you a grand solar minimum update Thursday, June 14th, 11:30 p.m. Mountain Time, 2018. You are witnessing Mount Agung erupting yesterday, the 13th of June, in epic fashion. It has nothing to do with this antenna. This is not related to HARP. There is no signal being sent to this mountain. There are cosmic rays, though, penetrating the subsurface and heating the muons in that silicious-rich magma, and it will not be stopping. Agung will continue to be rocking as we descend into the grand solar minimum. Let's get on with the update. Have you heard, kids? Catastrophic tornado injures 6 in Pennsylvania, ravaging mall and carrying a Dick's Sporting Goods sign for 4 miles into the neighboring county. And they're not even talking about these U-Haul trucks. Have you ever seen a U-Haul truck embedded into the street and sitting on another truck? I would say something is afoot. Our president believes it. Boom, boom. And he's seen the footage. Grand solar minimum much? A tornado touched down in northeastern Pennsylvania on Wednesday night, ravaging businesses, flipping U-Hauls, downing trees and power lines, and injuring 6 people. Thankfully, none dead. The storm was so violent that parts of a Dick's Sporting Goods sign was carried 4 miles away to neighboring Bear Creek Township, Wilkes-Barre Police Ron Smith said, adding he had never seen anything like this grand solar minimum. Well, the guy's not 180 years old, so what do you expect? We'll be talking about that. The USAA opens mobile catastrophe unit after 10,000 hail claims pour in less than 24 hours after the largest hail event recorded history hit just outside of Colorado Springs yesterday. As homeowners begin the daunting cleanup process after Wednesday's historic hailstorm, insurance companies are also being inundated with 10,000 plus claims. They actually set up a little hut here in the parking lot. There are so many people. This Mustang totaled, yes, 30 grand. Bye-bye from the sky. Welcome to the grand solar minimum. It is only increasing. The uptick has been epic in the last 8 weeks. Heavy rain and hail pound southeast Saskatchewan, Regina, Canada. This is insane. And this isn't the only place it happened, guys. We have footage from one of our viewers. We're about to look at it. The skies opened up in southeast Saskatchewan today. The Estevan area was pounded with rain and heavy hail as storms rolled through, prompting tornado warnings. You can't make this up. Intense hail core with zero visibility east of Estevan. We have some footage of this. Let's see if we can download this one here. Redvers, Uldraj, and other places. Screw it. We'll close this out. We'll just go to our subscriber footage, which is going to be coming up just now. Here it is. Goodbye, fella. And we'll make this, you can get a clear idea of, if you don't have a helmet on in this particular one, ouch. I mean, look out there. There were cars. There they are. And that is how the crops lay down. That is how the global unrest and famine begins. And that is the actual footage less than 12 hours ago. Coming to you live from one of our subscribers. Thanks, Wild Weather by Saskatchewan. Must see so much hail on the prairies it looks like winter. What are they talking about? Oh, the rest of Canada got hit with hail too? Thursday, June 14th, severe thunderstorms were expected across the southern prairies. Yes, it looked like snow. Oh, no. That can't be good for the crops that our friend Brett Stump just put in the ground. Anything that's just popping up is going to be snapped off. And that's a Donald Trump boom. Yeah, double boom. That's the boom boom. That's the boom boom. Notice 2 mics. Mic. So he must have to do that twice. Boom, boom, mic. So, he's just working with what they give him. I love it. Must see so much hail on prairies, it looks like winter. I thought it was summer. Severe thunderstorms were expected across the southern prairies on Thursday, and they arrived right on time as watches and warnings blossomed over parts of southern Saskatchewan and Manitoba through the afternoon and early evening hours. Hail the size of baseballs crashed down on one town on the Saskatchewan-North Dakota border, and we're going to be looking at a pop-up insurance tent tomorrow morning. Wow, it's like a daily event causing extensive damage to cars, windows. No tornadoes have been confirmed. The storm cell also prompted enormous tornado watches and warnings throughout Manitoba. In the wake of this long-lived cell, we are just getting the data, and it doesn't look good. Things look broken, and stuff is bigger than a Canadian thing. Right there. Take a look. Wow, there's Estevan. You got to plow that. Oh, and that is definitely worthy of a double boom boom. Let's go back to the film. Yes. Double boom boom, according to Donald. What do you think of the hell, Don? Yes. What, is that big? Oh my goodness. You're welcome, Ivy. There's a lot to cover. Let's get on with it. Beware of the hidden dangers of hail. When you have hail falling at over 1.5 inches, 2 inches, baseball size, and you forget your helmet, if you're still conscious, you need to check the house. It's going to be obvious where visible damage occurs. Missing windows, those are broken out because of the large blocks of ice that smash them in. And these dents that occur on your air conditioners, that's because large pieces of ice have smashed in the filters. But you can also get large pieces of ice choking off your vent system up at the top of your house. Now, this may cause some of your heating systems to clog, causing carbon monoxide to come into your house and killing you and your family. So make sure you know the hidden dangers of large hail, because for the last 160 years, we haven't seen anything like we're about to see over the next several decades. Most importantly, the next 2 years is going to be a major uptick in weather events that are unprecedented, never seen before in modern history, and there's going to be a lot of sheep that don't know about carbon monoxide, whose houses are going to blow up, are going to choke out because hail fell and clogged the vent system up on the roof. So make sure you know what you're working with before you get the short end of the stick. And I'll leave you links to that. 6 feet of snow around Labrador Lodge. Unprecedented this late in June. This is the latest in the season to have this much snow at Igloo Lake Lodge, says the operator. Yep, the staff at Igloo Lake Lodge stand in a 6-foot-tall snowbank in the summer that encompasses the fishing camp on the 13th of June. They have coveralls on. Even for Labrador, the amount of snow around Igloo Lake Lodge is surprising. A little snow, sure, but the banks around Southern Labrador Fishing Camp is wreaking havoc on summer plans. It's not uncommon to see snow around the lodge in the summer, but not 6 feet, says Jim Burton. The lodge borders Mealy National Park, 115 kilometers southeast of Happy Valley Goose Bay, which is predicted to get snow today. The lodge borders, Burton said, the first time in 50 years he's seen anything like this. He has to take a snowmobile in simply to deliver the supplies they need for the summer camp. Now, if we go back to 1967, 68, we were at the solar minimum of cycle 19 heading into 20. This was a major change from the last 60 years. Solar maximum had occurred right around 1958 and was dropping off. The biggest drop off in modern history occurred right here. And right 50 years ago, when that snow event happened, we were at a high cosmic ray flux period, causing cloud nucleation, massive snows in the summertime, and a cooling event in the planet. Same thing is happening now, only we're at an earlier time than when it actually happened 50 years ago. So next year we should expect Atlantic Canada to be completely pummeled and absolutely no growing at all. They're going to have a zero growing season in Atlantic Canada in this particular region. Nothing will be grown. No crops. Heads up, Igloo Lake. You're about to starve. Proper prior planning will prevent that, so please subscribe to the channel. Wild and woolly, Victoria set to cop a battering. Snow is on the way. We're not just talking regular snow, Al. Come on. I thought you said it was going to not snow. We're talking record snow. Damaging winds, blizzards, and wild and woolly conditions have been forecast for the weekend, with parts of Victoria set to cop a battering as a series of cold fronts sweep across the southwest coast and northeast of the state. Wild weather wreaked havoc across the state overnight, bringing down trees, dozens of them. The SES reported 100 calls for help, 75 trees down, 20 incidents of building damage or collapse, including flooding. Worst areas hit Mount Eliza, Selby, Cockatoo, a spokesman said. There were fresh falls in Dinner Plain overnight Thursday. Gale force winds, gusts of 93 kilometers per hour hit Port Phillip Bay as strong cold fronts moved across western Victoria on Thursday night and hit the rest of the state early Friday morning, which is really strange because it's not even Friday. We also got a band of quite heavy rain and strong winds with some parts of the state cold front went through. The bomb forecaster, who was completely wrong, who forecast there would be no snow this summer and winter and so on and so forth. Man, it is a complete farce. The mainstream media, if you still watch it, you can tell, have no idea what's actually going on the Earth. Air quality in Delhi deteriorates beyond severe level after dust storm sweeps over western India, as well as Mars. It's all over the solar system, kids. It's called the grand solar minimum. It's cosmogenic in nature, which means it doesn't affect you and your neighbors only. It affects the whole solar system. Cosmic rays do not come from your neighbor. They come from outside of the Earth. Therefore, anything outside of the Earth will also be affected, including Mars, where there are massive dust storms that are unexplainable, as well as dust storms in Delhi, which deteriorate beyond severe levels, and they sweep over western India. The air quality in Delhi deteriorated beyond severe, which means it's unbreathable. There is no level beyond severe, except unbreathable, on June 14th because of a ground-level dust storm in western India. The same thing is happening on Mars at the same time. But if you ask any mainstream scientist, they're going to say there's no correlation. At some point, the population needs to be culled. Bud about to make landfall as Bud Light. Rain over southern Arizona and New Mexico is expected to be epic, treacherous, and deadly, including mudslides similar to the ones that kicked off in California after the wildfires, in the very same zones that they're letting people go back to their houses at the 416 fire where they were evacuated. There are people in gully washes downhill, because we are in the Rocky Mountains, that are unaware of the catastrophes that are about to happen on Sunday morning. So if you live near a gully or a wash, near the burn zone, please heed my warning. We're expected to get up to 3 inches of rain Saturday night into Sunday morning. And if you're near a gully wash and you don't think your house can get knocked over and your family buried by mud, you are mistaken. It has never happened for 200 years, but it is going to happen in massive force for the next 2 more years. And it started last year in California. So please let the past be your guide, because history is the key to the future. It is. And we're about to see catastrophes unfold as Bud makes landfall over Arizona and New Mexico Friday into Saturday. Saturday into Sunday across Colorado. Yes, please heed the warnings. If it is raining hard, get your family out of harm's way. I do not want to see loss of life. More than 22 killed, dozens injured, thousands marooned as severe storms continue raging across India. So they have dust storms, and now they have flooding. It is crazy, kids. Look at what is going on here. 13 people killed, 28 other injured due to powerful dust storms and thunderstorms in different parts of Uttar Pradesh, Wednesday, June 13th. I mean, look at the picture. Here's some of the footage from that Saskatchewan hail coming in from one of our listeners. And this is why the power has now been off for most of the day. This is the main power substation in Saskatchewan. This is the damage incurred. These are the vehicles that run the plant. You can see this flooding and hail. Look at this dune structure of hail. That is not looking good. And that's just a sampling of what is to come as we descend into the grand solar minimum. It's only going to get worse. Next year will be a tenfold increase in what we're seeing this year. Snow predicted down to 600 meters at Lithgow on Sunday. This is in the main island. This is the main island of Australia. It's winter, but the bomb said it wasn't going to snow, and this appears to be snow everywhere left of this line. And snow could fall down to 600 meters. That's pretty close to sea level, kids, according to the bomb, which means Lithgow residents have the right to get excited because they were told it wasn't going to snow. According to the bomb and Al Gore, they're about to go sledding, though. Thank God. Oklahoma study reveals possible previously unknown sources of earthquakes. This is from fracking, guys. If you watch Ben Davidson's update, he mentioned this, and I'll leave you links to the USGS article. There's some deep faults under there, and as they inject that toxic waste into the subsurface, they're lubricating those faults. These are ancient faults that are now moving. They haven't moved for millennia. So they have pent-up pressure, and they're simply adding oil to the fault system. As Antarctica gaining or losing ice, we covered this yesterday. Nature may have just settled the debate. I doubt it. And now if you come down and read here, it's up and down. It's gaining. It's melting. It's gaining. It's melting. It's nonsense. It's fear-mongering. It takes a lot to really break down the science. We'll get to it. Earthquake swarm detected under Bartabunga today. You may have seen the USGS reporting a major quake, a minor quake in the 4 magnitude in Iceland. Don't get your panties in a bunch. A swarm of earthquakes has been detected in the northern part of Bartabunga. June 14th, sequence of M4.9 strongest detected since the end of the last eruption in 2015. So if this starts going off, it's going to be mild, continuous, and add to the cooling. Probably no catastrophic loss of life. There will be flight cancellations and the like, but nothing significant. Let's look at the seismic update. We have an interesting pattern forming here in the west coast of the U.S., as well as this probable frac quake M30 in Cuba, New Mexico. You can clearly see here Kilauea continuing to rock nonstop. Quakes of note, still no 6.0. We're in a drought. We're looking for an 8 magnitude or greater happening in the coming months, as predicted. As we hit solar minimum and that magnetic flexure occurs on the sun, it has been correlated to all major quakes, 8.2 or greater, over the last 20 years. So I guarantee you we're going to see catastrophic loss of life due to major earthquakes in the coming months. It's not a prediction. It's a guarantee based on scientific facts and historical documentation. We haven't been wrong once. Why would we would be wrong in the future makes no sense based on the theory that we're using, the data that we're analyzing, and the facts to make their predictions, which are all coming true. I mean, we can't tell you the particular time they're going to happen or where they will, but we're trying to narrow that down. 5.0 in Tobelo, Indonesia. 5.6 here in Abapura at 215 kilometers west-northwest at the surface. Here is that quake of note from yesterday, 547 kilometers, 4.8 in Fiji. Still no reaction at the surface, so we're watching for a major quake to tick off in this area. Heads up, New Zealand, because it could be your time to shine. And that would be happening anytime in the next 24 hours. So we're going to be watching this closely. Here is the Iceland 4.7 downgraded by the USGS from 4.9. And we are going to come over to some amazing overlay footage here. May 3rd, 2018. You might hear me coughing more than normal. Well, the smoke is pouring into the valley tonight. Just so happened how the winds are blowing. So we all had an OSHA tea party up at my neighbor's house, which helps with the respiratory process. And we exchanged some local wild edibles and other collectibles that we all had. Take a look at the change in the caldera from May 3rd to June 13th. We're talking an increase in size by a factor of 5. And if you're talking volume, it's a factor of 50. These are the same exact positions. You can see the amount of caldera collapse. So this edge right here is now the real edge. This entire area has collapsed into the caldera. Now take a look at the back end here. Notice this hummock, which is a very scientific name for a hill. And take a look where we are today. It's all whole there, kids. Here's the hummock right there in the back. So the caldera has moved a quarter mile to the east. It is massive. If you follow us on Facebook, I publish pictures of what the caldera looks like today. And it is not that fake video that was on Twitter the other day. And we're about to look at it. So let me get you there. Worldwide volcano news update. Dukono today, continuous volcanic ash emissions. We have Yasur, Ibiko, possible eruption. Here's the Yasur with intermittent low-level eruption. We also have Dukono, Agung, Kilauea, Galeras, which we talked about yesterday, and Sakurajima, which cannot be left off the list. Been erupting for almost 50 continuous days. If that's not cooling the planet, I don't know what could. Maybe the wildfires in the west. Agung volcano, here it is exploding. We showed you footage as we opened up, and we're going to be looking at it. Now, the Indonesian volcano has become more active in the last 5 days, and we're talking about the incorporation of an entire new cinder cone at the surface. Now, what's happened in the recent time here is a small heat signature or a heat anomaly, where you're looking at the Agung radiative anomaly, thermal anomaly. And you can see here that a recent event starting at May 15th to present has caused those eruptions. This is the major eruption back in December. And we're going to look at what happened just in the last 5 days. So here we have true color June 10th. You can see the caldera. This is the result of the eruption back there in the new year in January. And the eruption just the other day formed this entire volcano within a volcano. So this cinder cone is now sitting in the caldera of Agung. Yes, just 2 days later. And then after the 12th eruption, it erupted on the 14th, which is the footage we showed you today. We'll go back to it and we'll look at it one more time. This is a time lapse of Agung on the 13th of June. After the caldera had already formed on the left side of the original caldera. And there you got the boom. That's a mini boom. We'll call it the after boom. But it's still a boom. Donald thinks it's a double boom boom. We'll go with him. Real quick, let's finish up with some nonsense. Come on, please give it to me. Here we go. The rocks under I-95 present odd and scary threat to power grid. They're talking about the cold measures at the end of the Carboniferous. There's a very unique layer that people all around the world buy these fern fossils that are imprinted into. It's called the St. Clairsville Formation from St. Clairsville, Pennsylvania. Amazing. I used to live right near there. We could drive just about an hour and a half and go and collect as many as we wanted. Unfortunately, these rocks under I-95 present odd and scary threat to the power grid. Yes, they're an insulator. And so if we have a major solar flare, when we have a major solar flare in the next few years, it's actually the Northeast is the first place where the grid will be down. Because that particular layer, the St. Clairsville, the Permian Carboniferous area. It's an insulator, so it's going to bounce that effect back up into the power lines and wreak havoc throughout New England. It's a heads up. It doesn't matter really where you are, but this is the most vulnerable area. So if you're in the Northeast and you're not prepping, yeah, that's what I said. If you're not prepping, you're not ready. New study suggests surprising wrinkle in history of the West Antarctic ice sheet. I love that this came out yesterday at the same time the fear-mongering came out, because this is more scientific. And what it basically tells you is the truth. As we came out of the Younger Dryas during the end of the last major glacial period, about 12,000 years ago, isostatic rebound occurred. Isostasy happens when ice melts and the weight of it allows the land to rise up again. Subsidence is the opposite. It's the settling down. So we had isostasy happening in Antarctica as the ice was melting out of the last glacial period during the Wisconsinian 16,000 years ago. Rapid warming during the Younger Dryas. And then the land rose in Antarctica. Well, what they have found is that the Antarctic ice sheet reached a critical minimum point and it didn't collapse. A point far less than today, where the fearmongers are telling you it's going to collapse. So what this article reveals is that Antarctica is not going to collapse. And as I reveal, Antarctica is at, in fact, all-time record high ice volume. So don't believe the hype. It's nonsense. Berkeley declares climate change emergency worse than World War II. Demands human population control. Kill your children now, according to Berkeley. The Berkeley City Council on Tuesday night declared what it called a climate emergency with more global significance than World War II and demanded an immediate effort to humanely stabilize the population. Well, didn't the Bilderbergs just talk about this last week? Are you just catching on? These sheep are going to die. Yes, it's happening live. I hope you're planning. Proper planning will prevent piss poor performance now as the shit hits the fan. And that's a boom. A double boom. Thank you, Don. Guys, I hope you got something out of the video. Don't be scared. Be prepared. Be safe, everybody.